manager of the Sports Integrity Department at the Française des Jeux. An important part of the lottery turnover is made online. What are the specific risks and what are the measures that you have taken to face those risks? Concerning integrity and fight against manipulation of sporting events, what's your opinion about the complementarity between the physical network and the online networks?
Oui, merci.
You have the floor, Mr. Pujol. Now, many things have been said already. I'm not going to say them again. Concerning your first question about the specific measures related to the online gambling sector, cybercrime has boomed. We haven't talked about that a lot. Now, this is related to everything pertaining to the consumer protection. And this goes hand in hand with the expansion of Internet in the years 2000 and afterwards. We have seen also an increase in the terrorism-related risks on Internet as well. Gambling operators are targeted by cybercrime, and since we are responsible for what we offer online as far as gambling is concerned, we are vulnerable to denial of services, saturation of our sites at the level of the portal. Gamblers are prevented from do not have access to their connection anymore, and we are also vulnerable to phishing. For instance, credit cards that are stolen online. And we have tried to defend our sector against hackers. Now we have built in our servers some applications in order to fight against undesirable traffic. And we have to defend ourselves against intrusion on our site, and this needs, of course, requires financial resources and also manpower. We need firewalls with several levels of control, anti-spam barriers. And we have a team of up to 20 people. They are specialized or experts in IT security and in controls and operational application of IT security on a daily level. This is in order to protect our customers, which are our bread and butter. And we also have to protect the gaming or gambling market. I don't want to make you anxious about this, but 500 billion euros, according to Interpol, is a huge amount of money, which means that we have challenges to take up, opportunities to take. And as I told you, Asia is a continent where there are huge flows of money. Nobody can be spared by this type of crime. Thanks to the Lottery Association, I have been in touch with many operators around the world, and France has a very strong regulatory system, and thank God France has been protected against those attacks. We have never been attacked by a transnational criminal organization, contrary to what has happened, for instance, in Italy or Germany. So for the time being, we're not being attacked by a possible malware.
Deuxième question sur les sujets qui concernent spécifiquement la France et comment on peut également y opérer.
Obviously, as operators, we have a duty of vigilance concerning, for instance, the fight against money laundering and against fraud. We cannot possibly be considered as accomplices to money laundering. That is why we have a strong team, 80 people. I don't know what it represents in millions of euros, but it represents a major investment. And this team of people has to be able to identify the customers online. It's not because you have a name and an address that it corresponds to a real and actual individual. I'm not going to give you a lecture about the anti-money laundering measures, but you know that you have fronts. And some people give away their own identity in order to make it easier to transfer money through online games. I remember a case that we've seen a few years ago concerning an elderly person, more than 80 years of age, and he had hundreds of prepaid cards and played poker between midnight and 5 a.m. So we can think that behind this elderly person, there was some kind of suspicion. We could suspect the existence of a transnational criminal organization using stolen identity papers or taking away somebody's identity, or even maybe a retired senior individual who wanted to add some euros to his pension. As far as our control system is concerned, we can check the identity of our customers. We try not to be too present. We do not want to make enemies. We want to keep our site attractive. But since we have a vigilance duty, we need to set up this kind of control in an unobtrusive way, of course, in order to fight against this kind of crime. Another issue, TRG, the rate of return for the gambler. The higher the rate of return for each gambler is, and the easier it is for a crime organization, the international crime organization, to launder money. In France, once again, we have a very strong regulation which makes it possible to mitigate this risk. Concerning the sporting events, we can really mitigate this risk. And in Asia, there can be up to 95% on the island of Cagayan. So you can imagine 95% tax in order to launder money. So we have to be very vigilant concerning this TRG, this rate of return for each gambler. And this rate is very high in Asia, and it means that money laundering is carried out. But in France, it's never more than 70–75%. One last point, we have to make a distinction between gambling and skill games.
traitement n'est pas le même. Quand le hasard pur est en jeu, on n'a pas de raison d'être particulièrement plus restrictif. En revanche, les skill games, il faut
concerning the skills game, it is an area that we have to look into more specifically.
en particulier. Et ne pas, alors pour ce qui est du cas
concerning
des
the
paris sportifs, de faciliter la
sporting
manipulation
bets, we
des
have to avoid the
compétitions
manipulation
sportives. Et j'en
of
viens donc
sporting events.
au sujet de la
I
deuxième
would like to
question,
talk
qui est
about
donc
the complementarity between the
entre le réseau
physical
physique et le
network and
réseau
the
en ligne
online
sur le
network.
côté des paris sportifs. Alors,
The
dans
real threat
manipulation, la
of
vraie menace des manipulations
manipulation of
sportives se situe
sporting
dans l'intérêt que ces
bets
compétitions suscitent en
is
termes de profit à moindre
that
risque pour la criminalité
the
organisée.
organized
Un vrai
crime
sujet. Qu'est-ce que risque un criminel quand
the
il
organized
écrit
criminals do
dans
not
les affaires
take a lot of risk. The risk is maximum 3 or 5 years imprisonment.
Comparer cela avec
You can compare that kind of sanction with the sanction for human being trafficking or drug trafficking up to 20 years imprisonment. So the criminals think that it's more interesting for them to deal with the manipulation of sporting events in view of the overall budget of 500 billion euros. We've never, of course, zero risk does not exist, but we haven't experienced such a case in France. So there are, of course, international organizations. And we had a well-known case for the Montpellier game, but it had nothing to do with that. So we need to develop some close contacts with or close links with other operators. We are partners of FDJ and global monitoring systems. There are 27 sporting operators around the world, in Asia, Hong Kong, Korea, Singapore as well, and 17 such operators in the EU. So we have an overview of what is happening on the market. Of course, we have a strong supervisory authority in France, but of course, some operators can very well take bets in France, or some customers can make bets in France without us knowing about it. So everything pertaining to exchanges of information and dissemination of this information to the competent authorities or enforcement authorities is going in the right direction. This is a strong partnership. It works well. Several hundreds of warnings are issued each year, and it's very important to fight against the transnational criminal organization risk. This is a very interesting platform. La Française des Jeux is a partner. I think it's a good idea for all the operators to be brought together on these platforms in order to fight against anything that could harm the sporting competitions. Now, concerning the fight against the manipulation of sporting events, the major flaw is the lack of coordination and the lack of exchange of information. The Convention of the Council of Europe has been mentioned. Indeed, it's the major issue that would make it possible to make progress, to promote synergy, to set up platforms of monitoring and exchange of information. France has signed this agreement, which has been mentioned by the Minister of Sports, and we are stakeholders such as Arjel, just like Arjel, the Home Ministry, and all the sporting associations. Concerning the sporting bets in France and how they are monitored, online as well as offline, and it's very important to be able to communicate in real time. And things go very fast when you have a warning. Hundreds of thousands of euros are flowing every minute. So it's very important to warn the offline and online networks about what is happening, and this in real time. So it's very important to be able to communicate information in real time. We have entered into a tripartite protocol to exchange information between the Budget Ministry, the Française des Jeux, and Arjel, and I would like to pay tribute to Philippe Brandt. with whom we have negotiated for 1 year for this agreement. It's very useful because it makes it possible to, as operators, to be able to communicate in real time with our supervisory authority concerning any warning concerning any sporting event. It's a procedure which is official, and we're very comfortable, feel very comfortable about being able to communicate this type of information. This type of confidential information to approved authorities. And it can make it possible to prevent a fraud attempt, making it possible to detect all the unusual movements and transactions online and offline. I would like to talk about the sporting partnership contracts, or rather contacts that we have with the sporting associations and federations. Our former chairman has decided to set up an integrity scheme in order to pass on information to all the stakeholders about the possible risks related to sporting bets. And we do that with the Professional Football League and the Handball Federation, with the French Basketball Federation, with the French Rugby Federation and French Volleyball Federation. And we have met with professional teams and professional clubs, and we talk with the young people because it's very important to talk with to the young people, and we have to make them aware of the risks. We can do something very down to earth, talking also with the associations of professional footballers and the associations representing professional players in various sports. So we have to go on like that in the future. I would like to tell you about one such example of warning that has been issued. We are committed to warn the organizer of a sporting event of any anomaly. 2 years ago, during a football game, we have warned the Football League about an anomaly, such an anomaly. So it was very useful because an awareness-raising program has been organized by the league with the coaches, the managers of the teams, and they told them that FDJ had reported about an anomaly concerning the bets, and thus the game was to be closely monitored. I don't know if it was by accident, but the result has been in compliance with the sporting forecast and not the betting forecast that we had reported at the FDJ.